Good morning, dear students. Welcome to 8th class Physical Science. Now, in this class, we discuss about effect of area of contact on frictional force. The effect of area of contact on frictional force. Here, the frictional force is not depend on area of contact of objects. Okay, students, the frictional force is not depend on the area of contact of objects. Okay, how we can say the frictional force is not depend on the area of contact of objects. Let us do a small activity. In this activity, now we take a wooden block. Okay, this is wooden block. Around it, the wooden block string. A string is round. Around that, the wooden block. Okay, that is, this wooden block is tied with a spring balance. This is that spring balance. Okay, students, once again, now take wooden block. This put on the floor. Now take a string. The string is tied around that the wooden block. After this wooden block is attached to spring balance. This is that spring balance. Okay. Now you pull this wooden block with spring balance. Here, when we pull the wooden block with spring balance, we observe that the spring balance is stretching. The scale on the spring balance is given to the information about the applied force on the wooden block. It's given to that in newtons. In some spring balances are given information the applied force in kilogram weights. Okay, students, these spring balances are to measure the applied force. The force is measured in newtons. The force is measured in kilogram weight. Okay, here the spring balance is given to information. It's measured the applied force on the wooden block. Here we can apply certain force on the wooden block when it full. Okay, your applied force is equal to the limiting the friction force. Is equal to limiting friction force when the just is begin to start to move. Okay, the applied force is equal to the maximum limit of friction force is equal to the friction force. The maximum limit of the friction force just begin to start move. So yeah, the both forces are equal, applied force and frictional force. To overcome the frictional force, then it's start in motion. Okay, when does the wooden block is the present in the motion? When we apply the force is greater than the frictional force. These two forces are quite opposite. Okay, how many the forces are there acts along that horizontal direction? In the horizontal direction, how many the number of forces there acts in? Two forces. Okay, first one is what is that wooden block. How many forces acts in the horizontal direction? There are two directions, two forces. First one is tap left. Tap left means applied force. Applied force. And next one is a small f. Small f is a frictional force. These two forces are quite opposite. Quite opposite and equal in magnitude. Okay, when does this wooden block just begin to start move? These both are equal. When does the applied force will be greater than the frictional force? What happens then? The wooden block is present. It will come to that in motion. Okay. Now, with the help of a spring balance, we can measure the amount of frictional force is offering by the wooden block on the floor. So let it 5 newtons. Let it 5 newtons force. You can apply by 5 newtons force. Frictional force is 5 newtons. Offering by the wooden block on the floor. Let it 5 newtons. Next one. Now change it the position of a wooden block. This wooden block is put it upright. Okay, the wooden block is put it at upright. So change it the variation of a wooden block. And around the wooden block is tied up with a string. Around the wooden block is tied up with a string. And this is attached with a spring balance. This is attached to a spring balance. And again, we can measure that how much the applied force or how much the applied force on the wooden block we can measure with the help of a spring balance. Okay, students, we measure that with the help of instrument spring balance. We can measure the frictional force offering by the wooden block. Okay, yes. Okay, how much the amount of the force is offering by the wooden block on the floor is 5 Newton force. So here, the change of orientation of wooden block in upright. Here the contact area is very small on the floor. The contact area of wooden block becomes too smaller on the wooden block. In the case of a horizontal, the contact, the area of a wooden block is the more. Understand? In the direction of a horizontal position, the wooden block is our maximum area on the floor. But in case of a vertical position, this contact area of wooden block is very small. Even though they applied the frictional force on the floor is 5 newtons and 5 newtons. along the horizontal direction, it offering of a frictional force 5 newtons. The vertical direction is offering of a 5 newton force. And this both situations or both activities, the frictional force we can measure same 5 newtons and 5 newtons. Therefore, hence we can say that the frictional force is now depending on the contact area of the object. Okay. Okay, next one is the effect of normal force. The effect of normal force on frictional force. Now we take a wooden plank, is put on the floor. Wooden plank. Next, now take another wooden plank, is kept at above the wooden plank. Wooden plank. Next, now we take a string. The string is around that the wooden plank. The string is tied around that the wooden plank, and the string is attached to that spring balance. And to measure the frictional force. Okay, how much the frictional force when we add additional another wooden plank on the wooden plank or to press the wooden plank? What happens? Changing the frictional force. It offering of a maximum frictional force. That is, the frictional force is increases. Okay, let it 10 newtons force. Okay, students, when does additional another wooden plank is put on above the wooden plank, what happens? Normal force is the increases. If normal force increases, the amount of frictional force is also increases. So the normal force is directly proportional to frictional force. Okay, friends, the normal force is directly proportional to frictional force. If the normal force increases, what happens? Is often frictional force is also increases. Okay, friends, this is the relation between the normal force and frictional force. Its relation is directly proportional. Okay, thank you.